Hello, National Association. This is Pastor McDowell, your presiding elder. I'm sure you, like me, are experiencing tremendous grief and sadness and even some anger over the episodes that have been going on around us. If ever there was a perfect storm, this was it. Just think about it. All of us were sheltering in because of COVID-19 for weeks and weeks. We've not been able to gather together. We've not been able to greet one another. We've had the loss of over 100,000 lives and not been able to grieve them the way that we would normally grieve them. And then we heard about Ahmad just jogging on a Sunday. Then we heard about Brianna in her house, in her bed. And then George with a knee on his neck until he couldn't breathe, until he gasped his last breath. All of that worked together. And that's why we're here. I tell folks that COVID-19 is a global pandemic. But we've also been experiencing an American epidemic that has been going on for over 400 years. And folks ask, how did we get here? That's how we got here. Our sons and our daughters are marching, and we've got to continue to explain that Black lives matter. Because Black lives do matter. They've always mattered. And we've got to come to that conclusion as a nation. Doesn't mean that we're saying that other lives don't matter. For 400 years, we've been trying to prove our value. We don't have to prove our value. We must remember who we are and whose we are. We understand that racism is a sickness, but it's also a choice. But it is a contagious virus that has gone through our nation for over 400 years. It has passed from generation to generation, and until we acknowledge it and deal with it, it will continue. My hope and prayer that in spite of history, that our children, or our children's children, will not have to deal with it like we've been having to deal with it all these years. I'm asking you as a national association to find ways to engage, find ways to build bridges. We can't be speechless, but we must remember that we are ambassadors of Christ. Love will conquer hate. We have to call it what it is. When there's injustice, we've got to speak up. We're telling our young people, find ways to be engaged. You can be visible without being violent, without getting caught up in what others are doing. Let's not allow the message of this moment to be hijacked and sabotaged. The message of injustice is real. And it's not just happening. But I think this is probably the first time we've actually been able to see it so clearly. The thing that I feel that is different about this time is that seems to be a growing consensus of the injustice. Undeniable. And now more than ever, we're seeing people across the aisles saying that's wrong. They're kind of connecting the dots and seeing that this is not the first time. I want to encourage you, get your youth and your young people together, your young adults, have a discussion, let them express what they're feeling. Pastors, get the parents in another meeting, let them share how they feel. Go to the police meetings, talk to them, your community board meetings, be involved, be visible, be viable, be vocal. I believe that this is a crucial moment. It's a fork in the road. Things can never be the same after this. But if they are, we have nobody to blame. And I speak to the church because if you think about it, it was the church that put its approval on slavery and used the word to support it. If the church would have stood up way back then and said, no, this won't happen here, we wouldn't be here. And so I submit that the voices that were silent then and allowed it to happen cannot be silent now if it's to change. We've got to be in partnership across ethnicities. It's not the police against us and us against the police. This is the first time I'm seeing the blue wall of silence broken, where police are standing up and saying that's wrong. This is a pivotal moment. We've been here before, and yet, and in a way we've never been here before. I'm asking you as your presiding elder, let's not allow this moment to pass. Let's not allow it to go back to business as usual. Have the discussions. Reach out, build bridges. Vote, not just for the presidency. We've got to vote across the board. If things are going to change, we have to change. I'm not saying that you have to get out there and be on the front line in the marches. But we have to find a way. Maybe have a prayer walk. Maybe call the churches out together and still remain distant. I know we're still in a pandemic. We don't want to be part of that problem, but we've got to find a way. I want you to know we've got to pray. But the Bible says faith without works is dead. Let's not allow this moment to pass and go back to business as usual. I love you, praying for you. We're going to come through this. Maybe a perfect storm, but we serve the one who can still the storm. There can be protests, but encourage it to be peaceful. Don't allow the news media to make you think that what you see is the whole story. It's only a few folks that are causing the violence and the looting. That's not the message, and that's not the majority of the people. I'm seeing a great amount of multi-racial marches, protests together. That's something to be celebrated. Let's make it together. We are in this together. As the National Association, as Americans, as humanity. God bless you.